Hey everybody, welcome back. Getting back to something that we've talked about before, and that's the idea of the government basically coming and confiscating all of your property, taking your stuff, all of those preps that you worked years for to protect yourself and your family, your loved ones, neighbors, whoever, whatever your situation may be, that they're just going to come along during a disaster, during an emergency, during a long-term grid down SHTF situation and just sweep away all of your stuff and carry it off to like a high school gym and keep it there for safekeeping for the community, because they do have the authority to do that. They can do that. And I'm going to reference you to Executive Order 13603. Look it up. It was signed by President Obama during the Obama administration when he was still in office, and I think it was 2012. 13603. And all it is an expansion of previously existing orders, but it really fine-tunes it. Now, I'm not going to read it to you here because you would fall asleep. It is a hodgepodge of legal jargon, and the layman would have a great deal of difficulty trying to decipher what the hell it's talking about. I would advise actually jumping ahead to, I think it's section 203, if I'm not mistaken, when it really gets into the nitty-gritty of confiscation of or reallocation of property, when they're talking about what they can take and why, basically to protect themselves and keep the peace and whatever other nonsense they've got in there. They talk about confiscating livestock, crops, feed, fertilizer, seeds, land, property, reallocating businesses, private property, taking funds, taking property to sell, all sorts of things like that. They have the legal right in the state of emergency to take anything they want and do anything they want with it, which they already could do anyways and would do, but this is a document that gives them the legal right to do something that should be completely unacceptable, basically. So yeah, you should be worried. You should worry about that. This is why a lot of people hide stuff. I'm not going to tell you where to hide things, but everybody's got their own niche. And we've talked about that kind of before, good hiding places in homes. I think I did a video on it a couple of years ago, actually. But if you can relocate something or put something up or hide it, do so if you can, for the obvious reasons. And this has been put into effect. You remember the virus scare? This wasn't that long ago. They're kind of trying to keep us still in it, as a matter of fact, aren't they? But there was a few instances where suppliers of masks were having their stocks confiscated. Do you remember this being in the news? They were coming and taking entire warehouses full of masks, and the FBI was accusing them of price gouging because prices were going up. Prices went up on everything. I didn't see the government going into Walmart and taking the eggs because they doubled the price, or milk, but they went and they took all these masks. And this happened a lot on the East Coast, actually. And I remember a couple of stories in New York and in New Jersey of distributors. This is stuff these people paid for, that they had in their warehouses that they were selling. Supply and demand, they were asking a little bit more for it. It sucks, but what are you going to do? That's the way of the world, right? But they say, oh, price gouging, take everything. Don't compensate these people. As far as I understand, they were never compensated rather. And they said at the time, we're going to reallocate them to hospitals and medical clinics, which never happened, because a few months later there was additional follow-up stories on those where they were saying, hospitals and clinics, where the hell are the masks? You said you were going to redistribute them to us. We didn't get anything from you. We're still buying them. What the hell's up with that? They never got that stuff. And the one guy, and I think it was in New Jersey, just to let you see how shady this is, and also, you know how I am, I got a big pet peeve about justice and what justice is. The guy, I believe it was the one in New Jersey, was charged with felony assault on an officer of the law because he sneezed. I think it was a sneeze, right? I don't think it was a cough. I think he sneezed without covering his mouth. You know, supposed to do this. He was handcuffed. But I bet you they made that shit stick because same team, right? I mean, honestly. But it's always been on the radar. The government has always had these things. They would always come, and they haven't had to do it much, but they have come and taken things from people before. That has been on the books before. 13603 just expands that. It gives it a broader spectrum. It spells it out so that you can't argue with it legally about whether or not, the law says that it can be done. The law does say that it can be done. It doesn't mean it's right or ethical or moral, but most laws aren't, quite frankly. Odds are they would go after a large group first. You know, if you're in a large prepper group and you're out there and you got a big Facebook splash and all of this, they'd probably check you out first if they needed to do something like that. I don't see them, unless it's a really small community, trying to go door to door with the sheriff, but don't take that outside the realm of possibility either. Remember Hurricane Katrina when they went around confiscating guns? They had no reason or right to, but they had a legal right to. They signed themselves into it, and most of those people did not get their guns back. And it took almost over a decade, I believe, of lawsuits for them to start giving them back. I think around 100 people got their stuff back, and their guns were completely disassembled. They got a box of parts, basically. I hope they knew someone who was a gunsmith, because most people can't reassemble that stuff. They don't have the skills. So you're screwed anyways. Said, okay, you want your guns back? Give me a screwdriver. But, or a star key, as the case may be. But yeah, they can take your stuff, and that is something you should be concerned about, and that is something that you should also be prepared for, or try to prepare for, if you have any place that you can stash things or hide things. Like I said, I did a video a few years back talking about good hiding places in homes, and whether or not that stuff stays hidden, though, is another story. It depends on how hard they're willing to look. But yeah, they can take your stuff, and they very likely would, because government, because they can, because they give themselves permission to do things like that to people. And that's something that you need to be aware of, and something that you need to think about. Like I said, look up the executive order, and it's not easy to read through. It really isn't, honestly, unless you've ever been to law school and you understand some of the terminology. And it's written that way to make it ironclad, legally speaking, but also they know that in layman's terms, most people are not going to understand what the hell they're talking about. Any thoughts? Please feel free to post your thoughts in the comments section down below. And by the way, thanks Obama for another hit. Please do give the video a thumbs up if you got something out of it. Share it if you can. Subscribe if you knew, all that good stuff. Check out some of the other videos if you have not. Sure would appreciate it. If you're curious, if you're new to the channel, what's up with the random pictures of cats and or dogs? They are strays that we take care of, and we take the pictures ourselves, and it actually helps with the uploading algorithm on YouTube, believe it or not. If you wanted to help the channel out, or help the cats and dogs out for that matter, there are links for that down below. Every little bit helps, and we sure do appreciate it. And if that's it, then what more can I say but stay frosty, folks, and thanks for watching.